call the meeting to order. Do we have any additions for the agenda? I believe we have 11.1, correct?
Here, Mr. Mayor, we have 11.1, which is Ryan, if you want to speak to this?
Bylaw ALC 2-26, refinance bylaw.
We also have addition to closed session, which is personnel.
You have to state the sections.
Section 20, Section 28, and Section 29 of the Alberta
Access to information.
Access to Information.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And see, we got a presentation. Do we want to move that up in the agenda?
Sure, Mr. Mayor, I would recommend that we do. Yes, we have some guests with us today.
Okay, we'll move them up once we adopt the minutes, and we'll move them up to right after that.
So, Your Honor, that would be prior to 7.0?
That's correct, yes.
Thank you.
Any other additions to the agenda? Can I get a motion, please?
Yes, I will motion that.
That we accept the agenda as amended, Councillor Curry?
Yes,
Thank
accept
you.
the agenda as amended.
Okay, 6.0, adoption of minutes. 6.1, special meeting of council for March 23rd, 2026. Anybody pick up any errors or omissions on that? Seeing none, can I get a motion, please? Councillor Longstaff.
I move we accept the special meeting of council March 23rd minutes as presented.
All those in favor? Carried unanimous. Regular council meeting for March 24th, 2026. Any errors or omissions noted in that one? Can I get a motion, please? Councillor Smartowitz?
I move that we adopt the minutes of the regular meeting of council of March 24th, 2026.
All those in favor? Carried unanimous. Alrighty, we have a presentation, Riverview area structure plan. So if you guys want to speak, if you just hit that mic once, the blue light will come on for you.
Thank you very much. Good evening, members of council, administration, and the public. For the record, my name is Alex Nestic, and I am applied with Investic Consulting. I'm joined today here by Stephen Yu, my colleague from Investic, and behind me I have Gary Letch from Landrex State Developers. And thank you for accommodating us early. Can I go for the next slide? Oh, great, sorry. Yeah. So looking at the location, as you can see on the map, the Riverview Area Structure Plan is located on the west side of town, between the sea and rail line and the Sturgeon River. And an area structure plan is a statutory plan which sits below the municipal development plan, or MDP, and provides guidance for the development of a specific area, whereas the MDP provides development guidance for the town as a whole. To provide a quick history on the application, the plant area has a previously approved ASP called Emerald Ridge. This ASP was approved by council back in August of 2009. However, the lands have remained undeveloped. In 2025, Investic applied to amend the Emerald Ridge Area Structure Plan on behalf of the developer Landrex The amendment was intended to reflect the new vision for the plan area, including a major change in the land use concept, including a proposed neighborhood commercial and reduced densities. Upon review by administration and its consultant municipal planning services, it was determined that the proposed amendments were too extensive and that the new ASP application was required instead of an amendment. To comply, Investic submitted a new area structure plan application and with the new name, Riverview. As the intent is to replace the ASP, council will need to first rescind the existing Emerald Ridge area structure plan bylaw before the new Riverview area structure plan can be considered. I'm just looking at the proposed changes. Emerald Ridge, as approved, contains a mix of high-density residential, low-density residential, and open spaces. It was developed to comply with the town's previous municipal development plan. In 2018, the town updated the MDP with land use changes and policies which impact the plan area. These changes include new commercial uses for the portion of land between 52nd Street and the C and rail tracks. The new MDP also includes housing composition policies which aim to see a mix of 80% low-density residential to 20% medium or high-density residential. With these changes, the Emerald Ridge ASP no longer aligns with the current MDP as it contemplates a majority of high-density uses and no commercial. This introduces an opportunity to reflect the town's current vision with the Riverview area structure plan. Before I continue, I just want to go for a quick overview of the statutory planning process in Alberta. In Alberta, the Municipal Government Act outlines the powers entrusted to municipal governments, including the authority to regulate land use and development. The MGA mandates that municipalities must adopt a municipal development plan, which outlines the development for the municipality in the long term. As an ASP is a statutory plan that sits below the MDP in the planning hierarchy, the area structure plan must be consistent with it. The Riverview ASP proposes land uses which better aligns with the MDP. And just to add in a little bit of a description on the developer, Landworks has been creating successful communities in the greater Edmonton area since 1972. Some of these can be seen on the screen, including Heartland Meadows here in Gibbons. Landworks and their builder partners are committed to the construction of their communities from start to finish, and as all lots in Heartland Meadows have now been sold, they are excited to continue their work with the Riverview ASP. Emerald Ridge ASP primarily consists of high-density residential, such as apartments, and medium-density residential, such as townhouses. High-density uses are contemplated for the north side of the plan area, which border the existing single-family homes. The remainder of the plan area contains low-density residential, a stormwater pond, and parks and open spaces. The land uses proposed for Riverview will be broken down in the next few slides. The residential uses can be shown here, can be seen here in yellow. They are proposed to be located on the north side of the plan area and are adjacent to the existing neighborhood to the north. The vast majority of the homes built will be single family. There will also be a small amount of medium density homes located on the east side between 52nd Street and the railway tracks. These will take the form of fourplexes. There is now a small commercial area proposed for the northeast corner of the plan area between 52nd Street and the railway tracks. This area will create space for small businesses such as doctor's offices, convenience stores, or daycares. There is potential for the area to be developed as residential and commercial mixed use, where the residential units are located above the businesses, such as the picture in the middle. A large portion of the plan area, seen in blue, is reserved for institutional uses, and it's proposed to be, it is proposed to be the foundation lands, and these are lands that are reserved for charitable organizations. One potential tenant is SCARS, or the Second Chance Animal Rescue Society, and they are looking to do something similar to what they have out in Athabasca, which is kind of a sanctuary for animals that in their care. However, this is still in discussion and no final charity has been confirmed. Looking at the parks and open spaces, they can be seen here all in the green, so the light green, dark green, and very light green. These will include a trail at the top of the Sturgeon River escarpment, a small pocket park in the very north end of the plan area, right between where the new homes would be built and the existing homes, and the stormwater pond. These areas combined will extend the open space system along the Sturgeon River, expanding access to the natural beauty of this part of Gibbons, and increasing access to recreational opportunity. Looking into servicing. Servicing studies have been conducted to support the Riverview Area Structure Plan. These studies have concluded that there is sufficient capacity for water and sanitary sewer for the whole plan area. The developer will need to construct a stormwater management facility or stormwater pond to manage stormwater flows from the plan area. The costs for water and sanitary infrastructure will be responsibility of the developer and paid at a rate determined by the town's off-site levy bylaw. Roads, stormwater infrastructure, and other necessary improvements needed to support the subdivision are not covered by the off-site levy bylaw. These are typically paid by developers through development or servicing agreements, which is a contract between the town and the developer. This is the common practice across Alberta. The next steps are, as a statutory document, the council is the approving authority for the Riverview Area Structure Plan. And therefore, in order for land trusts to move forward with development of this area, council must approve a motion to repeal the Emerald Ridge Area Structure Plan and adopt the Riverview ASP. This concludes our presentation, and we are here to answer any questions.
Thank you. Any questions? Councilor Morrison?
Do you have an idea of the price point for your single family, your fourplex, and then is the intent apartment condo over the business development? And once again, what is the price point in that?
I'd like to actually defer this question to the developer.
Firstly, the commercial area is not controlled or owned by us. It's owned by a local citizen of Gibbons, and he has not finalized it. The single-family lots will be similar in the same price range as Meadows.
Okay.
And the area called the multifamily along the railway tracks will be done by one developer, and there'll be fourplex with architectural controls, and then there's an alley behind it for parking. And they're looking at, all those fourplexes are intended to be rental. They'll be bought by investors, and we've done rental surveys, and the investors are satisfied with it and ready to proceed.
Sorry. Yeah.
Yep.
Oh.
No, ladies
The, and I'm sorry, you may have said it and it might be in the material and I've just forgotten. How many units within the fourplexes in total?
4.
So 4 by 4.
We're looking at trying to do 5 4x4s. And plans have actually been prepared, and once we get first reading, then we can't really talk to the builders until first reading.
Okay, but it's rental, it's
Yes.
not, okay. Councilor Curry?
Councilor Curry?
So, the prices of the single-family homes in the Meadows, you're saying they'll be similar to that. What are the ranges there for?
650.
The last one went for 610, and up to, we wanted one over, it's in the 600s. And they're about 2,400 square feet. And it's interesting, on the weekend I got a phone call from 3 realtors outside the thing saying, do you have triple car garages? So they're gonna try to have triple car garages again. But we're still working with the size of the lots.
Is there opportunity there for lower priced, single-family homes?
Our company has prepared several budgets, recently updated a couple months ago. The cost of the servicing will not prevent that, will prevent that sort of entry. Our budget's around 6.5 to 7 to bring the servicing in, and on-site. Unfortunate.
Councilor Barak?
Where the, you've got the institutional foundation lands, are you doing any servicing in that lands as well?
The plan, you want me to answer?
Okay.
Okay, please.
Through the chair to Councilor Barak, the intent would be to bring services to the entrance of the foundation lands. Once we have more idea of who that organization is going to be, we'll have a better idea of what their development plan will be, where their buildings are going to be located. But we would bring services to the parcel, and then based off that, the capacity would be there to support that development.
So it'd be up to the foundation or to then provide that service and pay for that, or who would be ultimately in charge of paying for that infrastructure?
As part of the subdivision process, the developer would bring services to that parcel, and then with a development permit, there is on-site servicing that would be provided to that parcel to service what their development aspirations are. So if it ends up being the SCARS Foundation, where they don't require a lot of buildings, but they just need a lot of open space, the amount of servicing required is very limited. The stubs to the parcel are usually adequate. They would just need to connect it to a building, and that's usually done by the developer at the development permit time.
Anybody else? Councilor St. Germain.
If you could just explain to me, please, just, I'm unaware, what is considered low versus high density residential?
Low density residential, through the chair. Low density residential typically takes the form of like a single family home that you typically will see. Medium density is usually a bit higher, so usually like a townhouse or a fourplex, something like that. And high density will usually be like an apartment, so like 4-story, kind of a bit more urban style.
Thank you.
Do you have more? Yeah, go ahead.
You had mentioned in the meadows that they were all sold. Does that mean to the, that they were sold to, like builders, or does that mean like they've all been to the final owner?
Through the chair, they've been sold to builders.
At present, there are 6 vacant lots, and the builders advises they'll be applying for building permits to be completed by the fall.
Thank you very much.
So you've got a parcel of land with this development for parks, and you've got I always forget the name of it, stormwater pond. So I think it would be I just want to float this into your mind, that how lovely it would be to provide the Land Rex dog park on that land.
One thing I'll add is that we do have a pocket park, so there is definitely an opportunity at the time when they do develop that park. That is definitely a consideration.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? Councilor Swanwitz?
Just a question about the use of the land. Is there more room for further development, or is that it for that area?
Through the chair, at this time, yeah, thank you. At this time, this will pretty much be it. So with the residential phases completed and the foundation lands, that will kind of take up the entire bit of the land that they possess. Should the foundation lands fall apart for any reason, they certainly could be repurposed into something else, such as more homes in the future. But at this time, we are intending it for it to be just that single family kind of phase up there, and then the foundation lands.
Councilor Barak?
If for whatever reason the foundation land would fall apart, would Land Rex be interested in donating the land to the town at all?
We'll leave that.
Through the chair, Councilor Burke. I believe the intent would be likely, as Alice had mentioned, the intent would be come back to amend this plan again and either provide more opportunities for more homes and repurpose it as it was originally intended for residential development. With that, there would be other requirements such as like there's more park requirements that would be required, and maybe that's an opportunity that the town could obtain some more some land from that development. But otherwise, it likely would unless land otherwise had other plans could look at that. But there would be opportunities to see what other uses could be done on that land before, first.
On behalf of Larry Andrews, once first reading we've received, the title will be transferred to the foundation with restrictions on no commercial development. It will be a foundation. And we're also talking to the brothers, big sisters, we're talking to people in the military, for recovery. And this is a legacy project in Canada.
Councillor St. Germain?
I just noticed that there isn't a foundation listed. Is this through the Larry Andrews Family Foundation, or is this be a completely new charity?
It'll be a new foundation, and it was put on hold after our public hearing last year, for obvious reasons.
Councillor Longstaff?
You mentioned the legacy project. So I'm assuming that would be like a building for housing of veterans?
We don't know. In fact, the foundation has retained experts on their own. So our job is simply to bring servicing to the property, and then it's turned over to the foundation. They will decide what to do in consultation, of course, with the town.
Thank you.
Councillor St. Germain?
Sorry, will the town have any consultation as far as when the foundation lands, if they go ahead? Like, what will go there? Like, my only concern is I'm the spouse of a veteran with PTSD. If you put him in right next to a dog park, it's gonna go south fast. So I'm just kind of curious, like, will our town have any input as to what foundations are going and where?
I gotta be cautious, I can't speak for the foundation, but our job ends when we turn it over to them. I can tell you, when we did our public hearing, I met with the foundation people. They have a proven track record of consultation. And in fact, one of them will be job with community involvement on volunteer basis. They'll need volunteers for their job, for study.
Thank you very much.
Anybody else? Mr. Hennell?
If I may, just for the public, I think it's very important to note in this development because the town has had a lot of challenges with developments in the past, and we're in a very tough financial situation. I want to make sure it's very clear that this has been reviewed very closely by me and my team. We've worked closely with the developer on this, and that the public, I want to make sure that they are assured that there is absolutely no capital outlay required by us in any way, shape, or form on this development. There is no investment required. This is basically on-site infrastructure, off-site infrastructure that's already been put in the ground, and this provides us an opportunity to start recouping some of the money that actually past administration put in the ground previously. In my mind, this is a very positive opportunity for us. Development can be challenging, there's no doubt. I've had to deal with this many times over the years, but I want to make sure that the public is assured that we're going to cross the T's and dot the I's on all the development agreements and the right things. And I have to say, the developers actually welcome that with us as well. And so I want the public to be assured that this is a no-risk situation for us, and if there is any risk, we will basically be back at the table. But at this time, this is a very positive development in the administration's eyes.
Excellent, thank you. Councilor Morrison? One more?
Sorry, I just want to go back with regard to the 5 fourplex. And those are rental units. I don't know if you have an idea of the price point of the rental, and I'll tell you exactly why I'm asking. It's to dispel the row house mentality and understanding that you're still looking at an upscale rental unit.
I worked with the builder, it's Nest, who have built, I think, 14 homes in Meadows. Actually, their specialty is fourplexes, and when we get to it and we know have first reading, then pictures will be provided to your administration. There's never been row housing considered, that was our rumor.
Yeah, no, and I'm just trying to stop it.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I believe that's all the questions, so thank you so much for coming up and seeing us tonight and the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Alrighty, moving along.
Your Honor, can I please get a motion to accept
Oh,
that
that's right.
presentation?
Okay. Can I get a motion, please?
I can make a motion to accept as information.
All those in favor? Carried, unanimous. Thank you. 7.1, 2026 operating capital budget flag items.
Mr. Mayor, members of council. So what I'll do is I'll go through the flagged items first, talk about the question and the administration response prior to getting into the RFP from there. So we presented the first draft of the operating budget at the special council meeting, I believe it was on March 23rd. We gave council the opportunity to provide feedback and questions through the flagged item process, and we promised to come back with answers at the next council meeting. So these are those answers specific to questions that were raised. First question, the estimated user fees for the 2026 budget. So this relates to the fitness center, as you'll see further down. The estimated user fees for the 2026 budget are $26,000 higher than the 2025 actuals. This is an indication that membership is currently higher than this time of last year. Based on the numbers provided, the average monthly memberships for 2025 was about 74. The estimate based on the numbers provided for the average monthly memberships is around 117. As usage at the fitness center increased, so does the user fee for 2026, just at an estimate. Administration's response, this is purely based on the forecast using actuals at that time, which wasn't modified, as we were primarily looking at whether to remove this service for the 2026 budget. Administration will be reviewing the fitness center department based on information that was shared and cost savings identified by fitness center staff. So we will adjust this budget accordingly and reduce the membership cost down to actuals. I can confirm that that has been done and will be presented in the budget next week. Regarding the seniors bus, do we have any number on the average usage per ride, per day, when the bus is in service? Do we cancel service if only 1 or 2 seniors show up to use the service? Is a sign-up sheet used? So I've attached the senior bus report from December of 2025 that has the majority of the statistics, and we'll actually answer a question down below as well. The service remains no matter how many seniors are there for transport. It would only be canceled if there was no riders. There's currently no formal sign-up process. Options are and were being explored should the fee be reinstated, but no process changes have happened as of yet. Next inquiry, the museum, is it staffed full-time during the summer months? Does the usage show that there is a need for full-time coverage? Do we currently use matching grants to fund summer programs? Our response, yes, the budget as it was currently includes 2 summer staff members for 15 weeks during the summer at full-time with an estimated hourly rate of $19 per hour. We do budget for Canada Summer Jobs Grant, but these don't cover the full cost of the summer employees, as a program for the municipality typically only covers 50% of the wages at best, and that's based on minimum wage. They do not cover as well the labor burdens, which in this case is just CPP and GI on the employer side. So without making any changes to this year's budget, my recommendation is to allow the museum to hire the employees moving forward as they get, being a not-for-profit society, 100% wage coverage, whereas we only get 50% as a municipality. So we can continue to flow them through payroll, which they were on board with, but we were able to get the maximum coverage at that point. One thing to add on that is we did have a meeting with the museum earlier this week, or potentially last week, and they agreed that they didn't need 2 staff members, so we reduced it down to 1 staff member. On the roads tab, contracted services were reduced to $10,000. Does this amount allow for pothole repair? Are the pothole repairs done by town staff? Spring is coming and there's already a number of large potholes that need attention, as I'm sure they have been reported to the office. So pothole repairs are in fact done in-house, so those would still be within the budget. The main items included in the contracted services are line painting, dust control, crack sealing, and miscellaneous asphalt repairs, all of which will be done on an as-needed basis within the budget constraints for 2026. Sewer tab under salaries, $62,000. Is this the expense for the back truck operator? No, this is the allocation of salaries within the utilities department in the salaries budget to the sewer department specifically, which includes a small portion of the director of public works and then portions of the utility operator salaries. The back truck operator cost is currently covered by an increase in treatment fees, as well as the R&M budget, which we reduced but left a fairly decent budget. I will be making adjustments to the sewer budget based on further discussion and options that will be included in the next budget round, primarily around the purchase of back truck rather than lease costs, or trying to get a contracted service to complete the work for us. We're waiting for pricing to come back, which we've got most of, but we'll have an option or options for the next budget meeting. Staffing expenses reported is the numbers provided before or after the staffing adjustments. The budget as it was and still is includes all staffing adjustments that have been presented to council. Senior bus, please provide costing. Spoke with the president today. They want to retain the bus and feel a small charge is fair. They want to explore sharing with Bonaccord, but this will require further work. Again, a cost benefit analysis would help. So FCSS did put together a really good council report on the seniors bus, so we can refer to that around the financial implications from there. Bylaw enforcement cutback. I feel that even though the current hours are too little, in my years here I've noticed an increase in infractions, mainly due to lack of enforcement. Currently there's a vehicle on my street for at least a month, having never moved, with bylaw driving by daily, not noticed. Further, what will it take to monitor and enforce an urban hen program, which was discussed at the last council meeting? Bylaw will become the chicken police. Some costing out of this potential program would help. I feel that traffic enforcement should be a priority. So the change to the budget at that point would be more of a shift from proactive bylaw enforcement to reactive bylaw enforcement, which basically means everything will be handled on a complaint basis. So we would need to ensure that it is communicated to residents that any bylaw specific items that need to be addressed needs to be communicated to the town, and we likely need to set up a process, a specific process around this. Service request is a common one, for example. It would then get added to the list of items dealt with by bylaw enforcement team within the allotted hours that we have included in the budget. Traffic enforcement in itself is generally something that's done through the RCMP. We have limited ability to do much for traffic enforcement outside of parking violations, realistically. The gym, I would like costing out of this program, expense versus revenue. If the subsidy is minimal, okay, but if extravagant, then we can't afford it. The gym was set up with a major investment by the town in equipment to be run by a private operator. This didn't work, so the town took over with its own paid staff. So post reductions, we have reduced the costs of operations down significantly with a minor change to reduce the projected membership, answering the question earlier on, to bring income back to near the 2025 actual numbers. As a result, the total revenue is $58,693 with expenses of $78,655, which nets out to a tax subsidization of just under $20,000. So we reduced it significantly. I believe the original number was closer to $80,000 in the last budget document. Are there any questions, any clarifying items that we want to go through before I read out the options from there?
Nope, you're good to go.
Awesome. So one of the things I wanted to do with the motions, just to speak to a little bit further, is I provided the first motion, which is to accept the report as information, but I thought it was important. We still have some time. I hate to say it this way, but we still have some time ahead of preparing the final budget document for the next week. I think we would be able to, up to the 17th of April, be able to continue to ask questions and be able to include that within the budget or the revised amended budget for presentation. So I did want to make that available as an option with hopefully a cutoff date that we would be able to stick to from there. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any questions for Ryan? Can I get a motion, please? Councilor Barrett?
I'd like to move the council accept the report as information, provide any follow-up questions by April 17, 2026 to administration for further review and documentation.
All those in favor? So carried unanimous. Thank you. Before we go on to the next one, do we want to move the youth group up so they're not here till late hours?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, I think that'd be a great idea. They've been sitting here patiently, but I think there's some video games waiting for them at home.
Council, I'll just need a motion because that is an amendment to the agenda.
Councilor St. Germain?
I move that we make an amendment to the agenda to move the youth group to 7.2.
All those in favor? So carried. You guys ready? Sorry to put you on the spot like that, but the floor is yours. If you want to come up and speak in the mic so everybody can hear you, that'd be great.
This is being streamed across the country, by the way.
Mr. Mayor, I'll be reading the RFP, and then I would like though to take a moment to invite our youth center coordinator to introduce herself and our two guests that are here with us this evening.
Hello, Mr. Mayor. My name is Jan Evans. I'm the youth coordinator and run the youth center. This is Jessalyn and this is Greg. They're here to answer your questions on our youth-led program that we're doing right now for our project.
Excellent. Thank you for coming out.
Welcome.
Thank you. The purpose of the report is to seek council approval of the final design and authorization to proceed with implementation of the youth-led outdoor enhancement project at the youth center. We've been referring to it at previous council meetings as the Soaring project, but we're happy tonight to have some more details to share with you. So the youth center project was launched approximately 1 year ago after successfully receiving a Soaring grant from the Alberta Primary Care Network in the amount of $2,375. And the purpose of this grant is to support youth-led initiatives that encourage healthy, active lifestyles. So through a series of engagement sessions, participating youth identified a strong desire to create a welcoming, inclusive, and safe outdoor space in the green space adjacent to the youth center. The youth developed concept has expanded over time to include not only the mural, but the addition of picnic tables, solar lighting, and waste receptacle, and perennial flowers as well. So they are looking at planting some perennials in that area in the flower boxes that I believe are already there to also add some beautification to that area, and of course the mural. So youth participants have remained actively involved throughout the process by contributing ideas, participating in discussions, and expressing a willingness to assist with implementation. So the project scope, as it expanded, did exceed the original grant funding. However, through generous community donations and youth-led fundraising initiatives, including a recent bottle drive, the project has now been fully funded. So in an effort to maximize the available funding, the youth coordinator had explored multiple procurement options. Quotes from rec equipment suppliers for picnic tables exceeded the project budget. Metal tables are unfortunately very expensive. However, out of that came a very good cost-effective alternative by working in partnership with the welding program students at Sturgeon Combison High School. And so the students will be fabricating the tables as part of their coursework in 2026. So the class has embraced the project as a youth helping youth initiative and will construct 2 custom picnic tables for approximately $2,200, including paint. Significantly less than comparable market quotes for a single metal table. The tables will be finished in the town of Gibbons signature blue and will incorporate the Gibbons Youth logo. The picnic table project is currently underway and is expected to be completed before the end of June, with final payment issued at that time. Installation of the picnic tables will be completed by town facility staff, and administration also sought interest from muralists and has selected Carla Skabinski, and I apologize if I'm not pronouncing that correctly, of 6 Mile Murals, based on her commitment to incorporating youth participation into the mural creation process. And the cost for the mural is approximately $1,500. So the project is expected to be completed by mid-May, with a final video submission developed by participating youth, which is due by June 30th as part of the grant reporting requirements. And so under discussion and analysis, the proposed project demonstrates strong alignment with youth engagement principles and reflects meaningful collaboration between local youth, community partners, and educational institutions. The approach maximizes available funding as well, while increasing community ownership and participation. So the proposed mural design and location are enclosed for council consideration. The mural will incorporate one of several messaging options developed by local youth, reflecting themes of inclusivity, belonging, and positive identity. The youth created messages are as follows. Be brave, be kind, be you. Community starts here. You matter here, and we'll make sure you know that, or know it. When you give a child a place to belong, incredible things happen. So the financial implications are listed there. You can see the community support has been tremendous and very much appreciated, as well as the work that the youth did themselves to support the project by fundraising. The expenses are also listed, and you'll note that the plan is to use any surplus funding for the perennial flowers and for the waste receptacle the garbage can to be added. And then also for a pizza party for the youth to celebrate the completion of their project, which is certainly something they should be very proud of. So I was glad to see that included. And the next steps are to proceed with the mural design and finalization and table fabrication, and we just would like to have council's approval for the mural design, since it is going on a town facility, as well as your input into the messaging that we've reviewed. And then it's coordination of install and youth participation, as well as completion of the project and submitting the final grant reporting. There are attachments included for your review, the mural design concept, as well as the table design example. The options available for council consideration are included in the RFD, and the recommended action is twofold. So if council would like to consider choosing a message, the recommended action under number 1 would allow you to put the message in there. Option number 2 would allow final approval of the design and location as presented and circulated, but would allow for council to delegate to administration to finalize the message with the youth center youth that were involved with the project. So with that, I'll leave it in council's hand if they have any questions for our guests this evening.
Councillor St. Germain?
I was planning to.
Oh, Councillor Barak?
First, I want to say thank you, John. You guys do a tremendous job. Councillor Curry and I were kind of mucking around. Would you guys consider going to green and yellow from blue?
It's okay to say
Wow,
no.
zinger.
Thank you, Councilor Barak. I can check with the school and see if they've already ordered the paint, because we have purchased it. It could be, we were first starting, with 3 colors, all 3 of.
Can we have him look to the desk and we can use the microphone, guys?
It just can't be heard online
You'll be more.
without the microphone.
Just push the button.
Just once it'll light up.
Sorry, thank you, Councilor Brack. We had ordered paint already with the blue. We originally were gonna do the 3 town colors, and brought it back down to 1 because of pricing. It's approximately $400 per color. So, hence the reason we did 1.
Fair enough.
But I like the yellow and green old school. Yeah, it's cool.
Councillor St. Germain.
I'd just like to say thank you for all you do for the youth, and thank you to the youth for all you put into the program, because without you all, we wouldn't have it. And yeah, it's just really great to see it in our community, so thank you.
Councillor Curry.
So you guys are paying for the paint then, is that correct? Do you know where you're getting it from, or?
The school has purchased it for us.
Okay.
We got the code number for the blue that we use, and they purchased it from whoever they get their paint from.
Okay, so I mean, my point was if they have, I'm sure they have an account to get a deal, because there's places where I get a deal as well, so I was just seeing that. Also, how about a Gibbons Broncos logo?
I have actually given Carla from the 6 Mile Mural your name and number.
Carla's great.
Anyone else? Of the quotes, do you guys have a favorite?
What do you want? Brilliant.
Personally, the 3rd and the 4th quotes are my personal favorites.
I would agree, I selected the 3rd one.
Mine too.
Any further questions? You have a question down there?
I'm just wondering, can we leave it open and then the youth decide? And we
Yeah,
don't-
that's what
Yeah,
I was saying.
exactly.
It's their space, they should decide.
Yeah, agreed.
When you say youth, does that include me?
No.
Always.
Age, not maturity level.
Yeah. Alrighty, any further questions? So if not, can I get a motion indicating such? I believe it's number 2 that we're looking at. No, the options available.
I move that council, sorry, darling. I move council allow the youth the decision for the final mural design and the location. And I think that you guys had indicated that that is 3 or 4. Which proposals? Quote rather.
3 and 4. Yeah, 3 and 4 would be our personal favorites.
Yeah.
I think Jen's gonna nominate that.
Yeah, I'll take a vote when, throughout the week with the kids, because I have drop-in and different kids every day. So I'll write it down and we'll take a vote. We have asked administration and we have asked the parents, and they put their voting towards it as well too. A lot of them are leaning towards community starts here, as well as the when you give a child a place to belong, incredible things happen. Love that one.
I like both of them. They're all good. Those are my 2 favorites.
I echo Councillor St. Germain, holy doodle, my apologies, love. His comment that this is your space. We shouldn't be deciding. It should be you guys.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, can we get the vote on?
Excuse me, Your Honor, but Mrs. Brown would like to say something as well.
Oh, sorry, I didn't see you back there.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you to all council, I was actually looking at Chris as well because I may need her help in a minute. So I think we were looking for, I didn't quite catch the whole motion that was put forward. So we were looking for approval of the design location and then the redirection, I think I heard of sending back to youth to make the decision. So I just wanted to clarify the motion, that's all.
So I kind of, same thing, right? I was going through a little bit of what you said. So it sounds to me like the wording itself you want the youth to be able to do, right? But the approval of the design, because it's on an outside building, I think that's what Jody's making sure that we get clarification that council approves the design, the location of the design, because it's going on a town building on the outside, right? Not inside their space. So we'll need council to approve the location and the design, but the wording can be left up to the youth. That's what they were coming to you for anyway.
Correct, yeah. So on the picture that's attached here that you guys presented us, with the silhouettes of the 4 people in the design, now that's the preferred location.
Yes,
Okay.
and,
That one there?
yes,
Yeah. Okay.
yeah, right on the other side of the arena wall where
Right.
the curling rink is.
And that particular design as well as of the wings, yeah. Because there was another one in here with the silhouette in it.
It'll just be the wings.
Just the wings.
Yeah, the silhouette was on there. It signifies a person that's about 5'6", and where the wings would match up. On
Oh, I
the
see.
roof.
Okay, perfect. Okay.
I can use them.
Councillor Burak.
So did you get that in your motion? Do you want to amend your motion?
So I can just read the motion back from what I have, right? That council approved the final mural design and location as presented and circulated for the youth center outdoor space, and further that council approved the inclusion of youth developed messaging within the mural design and the final wording be determined by the participating youth.
Correct. Any further questions? All those in favor? So carried unanimous. Thank you so much for coming out tonight.
Thanks so much.
Girls,
Thank you, ladies.
Good job.
Hey, parting gifts, we have parting gifts. Trick or treat.
Those are the preferred
Official
snack.
snack of council.
Official snack of council.
What do you think? Seriously, you guys are for the council?
Whatever picture. Say cheesies.
That's okay. No problem. That's what.
Thanks for coming out.
That's what you're doing.
I feel like that's kind of important. Good job.
Good job. Same time next week, you gotta present the budget for us.
Okay, Ryan, back to you, 7.2, tax penalty reversal.
I think this will be agenda item 7.3 now.
Yes, sorry.
Awesome. So thanks for breaking up my finance RFPs. They're quite interesting. So this was an interesting one. I want to give a little bit of background for this one before I get into the meat of the RFP. So one of the things that we do as administration to work with our residents is we do tax agreements for residents that are in an arrears position. What this does is it provides an opportunity for them to basically go on a payment plan to get themselves back into a good place without having to go through the tax notification process, which results in the property being auctioned. So we generally try to work with residents as much as we can, but there are certain regulation and legislative requirements that cannot be avoided as well too. So one of the big things that I noted when I came in was the previous administration was creating the tax agreements, but there was a clause in there that specified that while penalties accrue on the property, they were in essence null and void, assuming that the payments continued to be made. Now this was done as an incentive to make payments to get the tax roll out of arrears, but this isn't something we can do administratively. So as I've said in the last couple RFDs that I've done regarding tax penalties and the like, taxes and penalties are levied by bylaw, which means that council is the decision maker on penalty voids and reversals. So I'd like to be very clear on that one. However, in this case, I'm working on negotiating a bunch of tax agreements. I've got a whole bunch that are in a pile. This is just the first of many, unfortunately. So I'd like to propose that when we do these tax agreements, and in the spirit of the existing tax agreements that were done with residents, we can maintain up to the date of new agreement being enrolled and agreed upon, that, and I'll have to bring each one of these back to you unfortunately, but that we would do as the contract states and void or reverse those penalties as is in the contract, with the intent of the new contract not including that, because that's not something we generally like to do as administration. Another piece of this is there were a lot of short-term agreements, a lot of agreements that don't really get the resident to a good place because they were focused primarily on just the current arrears balances, but didn't address the new balances that would occur when we did our tax levies in May or June of every year. So generally when I do these, if I'm remembering the number right without looking, I believe I have up to 3 years to do tax agreements through the MGA. I usually try and do between 24 months to 36 months because otherwise the payments are just immense over those periods. So the majority of them will probably be 24 month as I try to keep it under the 36 months, but that's kind of where they go from there. So what I need from council at this point in time is a decision on if we can reverse those penalties as they were stated in the current agreement, and I've got the amount in the motion as well. And I can then use that balance along with the forecasting and the 2-year planning and whichever one I've done for this one to amend or in essence renegotiate a new agreement with the resident that follows the legislation from there. Please feel free with any questions. I know that's a lot of information.
Can you repeat that, Ryan?
I can.
So under the new agreement that you're looking to put in, will include the arrears as well as the current tax season? It's kind of what you're looking at?
Correct. So what I do with these normally, and I'd love to show you a spreadsheet because you'd hate it, but there's a big long period. I have to plug in the levies based on our forecasting, what we think tax increases will look like, the requisition increases. I plug all that out for the period. Penalties are based on balances, obviously, so I have to forecast those, and then I use it to set up an initial payment amount, which I plug in and then have to revise because it changes the penalty amount, so it's a big whole project. But basically, it gets it to the point where at the point in time when the agreement ends, the balance should be at or near zero within reason. So it would get them to a point of becoming current, and at that point they could then go on our TIPS program from there.
Thank you. Any further questions? Can I get a motion, please? Anybody?
I move that council authorizes the reversal of the January 1st, 2026 penalty in the amount of $431.87 for for tax roll 2084.000 and direct administration to enter into a new tax agreement with the resident.
Any further questions? All those in favor? So carried unanimous. 7.4 accounts paid as of April 10th, 2026. Do we have any questions for Ryan? Councillor St. Germain?
Sorry, I'm just trying to find them. Does anyone else have questions? Because they can go first.
I don't have any myself, but, Councillor Longstaff, do you, anything? No? Councillor Morrison?
The holdback for Rollum contracting, holdback release, I think that's an asphalt company, yeah.
Yeah, it had to do with, I believe, paving on a certain area. Now, this isn't technically an expenditure for the municipality in the current year because it's capital and it relates to the holdback portion, which is just held. We fully recognize the expense in the year that it's incurred, which was in 2025, and then we release the holdback upon substantial completion of the project. So no expense implications necessarily, just cash flow implications.
Thank you. That was one of my questions. Thank you. Catalyst Technologies, 12,518.13.
That's for our GIS program, so the mapping and everything, where we put all our lines and roads and everything, it's all linked, and it actually links into our financial software system and tax rolls. So when we're looking at properties on the web map, we can actually just click into properties and it gives us the assessment information and everything. It's all linked together as one program.
So is that a yearly fee or a one-time fee?
Correct, it's a yearly fee, yeah.
Flow Point Environmental Systems, 311.12.12. Just write down from the Catalyst Technology.
So Flow Point is the bulk water system for our bulk meter station. So that's how we invoice our resident, I shouldn't say invoice, but that's how we charge our residents for the bulk water that they utilize.
I have a couple more, I think. Town of Morinville, February 2026 CPO support.
That's the bylaw services that they provide.
That's actually it for me, thank you.
I just have one question, and it's kind of, just because I happen to see the bulk diesel with the extraordinary increase in fuel costs, how has it impacted you?
We've bought multiple cycling hoses for them.
So one thing I did look at in the budget was specifically around fuel and oil. There were some increases in the budget for it. So with the hope that it's not going to last for forever and having to amend the budget for some potential increases, I think we should be okay. But obviously if this goes on for the rest of the year, then we probably will want to either make an amendment or just treat it as a variance that we would address next year.
Okay, thanks. Can I get a motion, please, unless there's further questions? Councillor St. Germain?
I'll make a motion to accept as information.
All those in favor? So carried unanimous. Okay, new business, old business, viability matters.
Sure, Mr. Mayor and Council. Before I get into the meat of the discussion, I just want to remind everybody it was only a short 5 months ago that we were sitting in this council chambers and talking about being literally 2 weeks away from not being able to make payroll. Because of that, we had to enter into a numerous number of actions and strategies to basically right the ship. That included reaching out to the province. We have the official administrator with us here this evening who is helping us out, support us with a lot of the financial challenges and strategies we're talking about. So we reached out to the province. We basically went into a significant situation of massive cost control. We laid off staff. We put in significant controls on how we were spending our money. We put in, again, controls in terms of how staffing, purchase items. And again, we created an accountability model where oversight was very strongly put in front of council so that when you were aware and made sure that you approved the things that we were spending money on. In combination of that, we also thought it was very prudent to reach out to our neighbors. In situations like this, our research has shown that in many times, that times like this, basically collaboration and work with our neighbors has worked very well. There were three key things we reached out to them on. The regionalization, the possibility of a fire arrangement, the possibility of sharing family and community services and the costs associated with those things, because again, many residents and many individuals who utilize our SSS services are Sturgeon County residents. And we reached out to them on the possibility of revenue sharing. And one of the things I want to make sure that everybody's aware of is there's a little bit of a misinformation or falsity around revenue sharing. Revenue sharing in this province is actually quite common from a viability perspective and a plain and simple viability transfer perspective. And so it's not something that we were looking at that was new or an ask that was out of line. It was simply something that when we did our research was basically a very common practice in municipalities across Alberta, and so we thought it was a fair ask. All of these things have basically been, kind of discussed and looked at over time, and when we got a response from Sturgeon County, it was a fair one. Sturgeon County did agree to look at the regionalization of fire services and look at the current agreements that are currently in place with municipalities in this region. They did say that from a family and community services perspective, they felt that they invested enough in the region, and so they turned us down on that. And they also said no to revenue sharing. And one of the things, again, over the last 5 months, as you're aware, we as your administration have been developing a very, very tight and strong financial plan. And in combination with that budget, we wanted to look and see and have a discussion this evening whether we wanted to respond in a different way than we originally responded. We're currently in the process of looking at regionalizing our fire services. The problematic issue with that is that there's been, again, it's not necessarily official, but there's been discussions that we would see a significant increase regionally with other municipalities in terms of their fire charges and possibly our charge from our fire services costs. And so we are concerned that transferring over fire services may not actually save us any money at all. The one thing I would like to bring to council's attention is that by maintaining and keeping our fire services, we have cost certainty. We control the budget rather than putting it in the hands of another party and then having a charge back to us. And so we thought it was prudent at this time because basically things have changed since we first brought this up in January. We have a much stronger financial plan that we bring forward. We have an opportunity that we're going to be showing our residents in a couple of weeks that we can get this town back on its feet financially on our own without support. And we wanted to have council and make sure that we gave you the opportunity to talk about our autonomy and whether fire service transfer was really what you wanted us to do. And take a look at the rest of the items in this agreement and give us any comments you'd like to have us make back to the county. So with that, I just want to open up the dialogue and open up the opportunity for council to talk to us about this and see if we have any different direction than what you originally provided us. If so, then we will act on that. Thank you.
I said thank you. Anybody got anything? Councilor Longstaff?
With regards to the fire service transitioning, if it is more cost effective to keep the department, I'm all for it, especially considering that 3 years from now would be their 90th anniversary, and that's a pretty big step.
To add on to what you're saying, I believe that there is grant funding available in the, if it's still around in that 3 years, for anniversaries like that. Yeah, milestone.
Councilor Curry?
Yeah, I want to make a comment regarding the fire hall, the fire services. It was difficult for me at first when we started the discussion back in January about handing over the services to the county. Just because, like I mentioned, my dad was on the fire hall when I was a kid, and you know, it's nice to keep it, you know, the Gibbons Fire Department from a sentimental point of view. But at that point, when financially it made sense to do the transition there, you know, I was foregoing sentiment and all that kind of stuff, and just what made sense for the town and what made sense for us going forward financially. With things changing now, I am, you know, I echo Councillor Longstaff that if we are able to keep it, then that's you know, preferable. I like that idea, so I'm willing to definitely, you know, have these discussions and see what we can do there.
Councillor Brack?
Kind of like Councillor Curry said, we had to make some tough decisions in January, and as we've been going down this path, it's kind of obvious that we've been having to take care of ourselves. I think Bloom's done a fantastic job of helping us get there and keeping us up. Contrary to what other people are saying out there, no, I think it's time that we start fighting for ourselves. And the Sturgeon County's got to start bucking up and doing what's the norm throughout Alberta. This isn't, we're not asking them for stuff. And when it comes to for example, for the fire hall, if there's even the slightest indication that we can be charged more or we're not in control of it, we as a community would be crazy to give that up. I think we need to hold on to it. If we can keep it, do it. We don't need people's help if it's just going to be held over our heads and we're going to be having to pay out more.
Councillor Morrison?
I think that you have also looked at fire services, if I'm not mistaken, and not dissimilar to looking at the budget for overall operations of the town. There would be considerable savings to be found within fire services and the delivery of such as well.
Through Mr. Mayor, I will say that at this time, we have not dived into cutting back the fire budget because, again, if we look at transition and we're bargaining in good faith. But I did have a meeting with the leadership team of the fire department last night and made them aware that there could be a shift in the way that we look at this, and that I would be sitting them down with them this week if we decided to keep our fire department, and we would be looking at tightening our belt around that budget as well. So that was something that was discussed, and we would be looking at it if you choose to take that direction. One of the things I think is very important as well as we look at this is that we have to remember that when we began this, we began with basically what I call very good faith bargaining. And it's been very difficult for our regional partners, and when I say regional partners, I mean like places like the town of Redwater and the town of Boncourt, to have heard that because of us possibly doing this, that their current agreements may be in jeopardy. And that is something that hit us pretty hard because it was never our intent in any way to hurt any of our urban neighbors with this intent. And so the deal that has been typically part of the regional delivery of fire has been a good deal for the urbans, and I will admit that. But at the same time, if there's going to be cost uncertainty because we move into this, it may not be in our best interest to continue with basically the bargaining, and it can be, and this is something that we can look at a later time. I do want to make sure that the public and council are aware that I have been through this as the CEO of the town of Riverview in 2007 and 2008, and I know I only look like I'm 30, but I am old. I'm kidding. I did take them through a regional negotiation. We went from a centralized department to a regional department, so it's something I've had experience with, and I would give you advice. I think it was the right thing to do, but at this time, my personal recommendation is I think that we should wait.
Councilor Morrison?
And correct me if I'm wrong, the maintaining of fire services within the municipality has been built into the current budget that we've been reviewing, and that is with the proposed minimal increase in tax rate.
Mr. Mayor and Council, the current budget that we've proposed, the increase that we've been talking about is full cost of fire as if it's our fire department. That is correct.
Thank you.
Councillor Smilewitz?
I just wanted to say I'm in favor of maintaining our autonomy in regards to the fire hall and any other departments that we're dealing with. I think things are very unclear and kind of hazy in dealing with some of the supposed partners we were supposed to be looking at.
Thank you. Can I speak?
Yeah, sure. No. Yes.
Just a question in regards to the intermunicipal collaboration framework stuff. And I know we reached out, we talked to them about revenue sharing, and I believe Jody has done lots of work in finding evidence that it's throughout the province. It's done. It's a commonplace now. And as a matter of fact, just the other day I read something about Westlock County entering into. It wasn't revenue sharing, but it was, top of my head, I think it had to do with residential or commercial buildings of some sort. But again, there's collaboration agreements in place. And my question is, thoughts on moving forward? Do we press the matter? Revisit the matter, I guess?
Through Mr. Mayor and Council, there is something called the Intermunicipal Collaboration Framework that has a number of things that can be negotiated under the legislation, but it does not include revenue sharing. And I have had discussions with Municipal Affairs about this concern and what I think is a gap in the legislation. These agreements, on the most part, have been negotiated out of good faith and goodwill between rural and urban municipalities, understanding that there is a very strong basically relationship, and basically our region, our residents from a regional perspective benefit with this type of sharing. We see, again, people want, they want to see commercial development that provides jobs. They want to see infrastructure. They want to see spray parks and those types of things. We're one of the only regions, especially the Edmonton capital region, that has not entered into these type of agreements. And so, would there be a chance of us pushing this further? Yes. Is it legislated? No, but there are avenues that we're looking at now that would hopefully help prompt those discussions into the future.
Okay, thank you. Councillor St. Germain.
Thank you. I agree. I feel like we have done what we were asked to do. We were very careful not to speak out, not to try and sway the process in any way, shape, or form. I will say I'm fairly discouraged with the introduction of Bill 28. It feels like we agreed to something and there was a material change in circumstance. I feel Municipal Affairs was aware of it and they didn't notify us, and I feel like our town and us as councillors would have made a different decision had we known that. And I'm just wondering, we now have a runway to sort ourselves out, which we were weeks away literally from being insolvent. So now that we have more runway and we have a plan and we can figure out that we can do it on our own, can we cease the viability review and just even pause it so that give us a chance to save our town for our residents? Because it's my understanding from the information and interviews I've read, Sturgeon County, if they took us, would put in a hamlet tax of over 50% and reduce our services. And that's not acceptable for our residents. Like, nobody can take that. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, there's a lot there, but I would, this line, Councillor St. Germain, I think it's very important to make the public aware of what we're dealing with. I think just for clarity, maybe the residents don't understand what's happened, but with Bill 28, something that's recently come out is the possibility of, regardless of the viability review, proving that we're viable and the residents voting yes to keep us as a town, the minister still now has the right to actually dissolve the town regardless of how the town votes. We are very concerned with this. This was not what we had thought we were getting into. That said, the province has been a good partner in this process thus far. The province has been a good partner in helping support us with funding to provide us with the runway. So this is one thing that, again, we're very strongly against, we would need to advocate for. So I think, just so the public's aware of that. Now, you unpacked a lot of questions there, so I'll see if I can catch them all. I think the key thing, and I would appreciate, and hopefully, Harold, you're okay with this, from a provincial perspective, now he's the official administrator, doesn't mean that he's necessarily speaking on behalf of municipal affairs in the province. I think Harold would probably be in a better position to talk about whether we can pause the viability process or not. And I think the public needs to be aware that we have asked for the viability process to be paused, because we are finding ways to support ourselves on our own. I would ask for a meeting with the minister, but Harold, do you have any comments about the viability process and the possibility of it being paused?
I can't really comment, as the interim CAO, Tim, indicated that there's a letter that's gone to the province suggesting or requesting a pause or discontinuance of the viability review. That's a decision for the minister, and so that's all I can say.
So if I may, I think it is important to note to your question, Councillor St. Germain, what we haven't been able to provide yet with public, but we've been giving indications of, is that we are about to roll a very strong financial plan, a budget, and a long-term financial plan that will begin righting the ship, not solving the problem. We have a long ways to go. But I think, Council, what you're trying to say is there was a bit of discouragement on our part, and we would just request clarification from the province of what this means, and is this going to mean that if our residents agree that we are viable and we can manage our own business and repair it, are we still at risk of dissolving? I think that's your question.
Yes. Yeah, because my concern was there's some misinformation. We did do a webinar today, and there's some misinformation and confusion over what the legislation stated previously as to what it states now. Yeah, so obviously we have questions about that, because our understanding was always if we voted to stay a town, we got to stay a town. And if we voted to dissolve, then the minister could decide either way. I'm not sure whether whether I understood that correctly or heard that correctly, but that was our understanding of what we agreed to. My only other concern as a caveat to that is the infrastructure piece, and I know I hammer on about it, but I believe it's important either way that we all know where we stand, because if we're going to make a vote to stand as a town, we need to know what's under there, because then we'll have a surprise pop up that we can't handle, or not, right?
I think one of the very important pieces in this is that we have to remember that we're the ones who requested the viability review. But we requested it under the parameters that what the process was. And I was very clear with council, if we could not come up with financial solutions to solve this issue, then it was likely in the best interest of the public that we dissolve. If we could not make payroll, if we could not find ways of solving our debt issue or solving our reserve issue. But I will say, even though it's not a complete solution, we certainly have recommendations coming over the coming weeks that put us in a very good spot financially that we weren't aware that we could get to. So I think the public needs to be aware that we're about to unveil that plan, but we also want to get public engagement out about that this is something that we probably need the public support on if we want to remain in town.
Councillor Breck.
As Tim mentioned, we did ask for the viability review. There's no doubt about that. But with the goalposts moving halfway through, I would like to find information. I know, Harold, I think you were going to follow up with Minister Williams to try and get us another meeting. What's the status on that, and what conversations have you had with him since then?
It's my understanding, as early as this morning in a virtual meeting that included the town, the Assistant Deputy Minister indicated that the minister would like to meet with the town as soon as possible. So there's no date established for that, but that is definitely on the radar.
Okay, thank you. Councillor St. Germain?
So who would be doing the follow-up, Harold? Would that be you doing the follow-up to see when we could arrange a meeting? Or them?
I don't think there's any follow-up that's required because the Assistant Deputy Minister was meeting with the Minister on Friday, and that was going to be one of his many topics to deal with, but it was going to be mentioned.
Thank you.
Okay, any further questions? Okay, seeing none, we need a motion to advise the administration.
I think you're on track.
Yeah, sorry, yeah. We need a motion that we advise administration how we would like to proceed. I think we're all in agreement as regards to the fire services. We want to pause that process, the FCSS process. And I think we should continue to pursue the revenue share kind of stuff, but if I'm speaking out of turn, just say something.
So it'll be like 2 motions?
Is that one motion? One motion?
You can do it in one motion, Your Honor.
Yeah.
Yeah, that the direct administration to pause negotiations with Sturgeon County regarding the Gibbons Fire Department and the FCSS.
Mr. Mayor, I apologize. There's one last piece I forgot to mention. Sturgeon County also offered to help support us with a legal review of the local improvement, and then later limited that review to $5,000. I believe it's in our best interest to maintain that review within our oversight at this time, and so again, I think that needs to be part of your recommendation.
Correct, yeah, I read that there as well. I think by allowing them to do it, they own the documentation. We want to keep it in our own hands.
2 motions then, Your Honor, please.
Yeah. Councillor Brett?
More of a statement, if my understanding was originally that they were gonna come to the table and take on that whole process, but at $5,000, it's not worth it. As Mayor Henderson said, they own the documentation, and $5,000 doesn't get you very far. That gets you an appointment with a letter, with a lawyer, and that's it. So I think we're best to do that ourselves, and then we own all the documentation and we control what's going on with the narrative.
Councillor Curry?
What was the original cost, the number that they were gonna cover before the?
Sure, Mr. Mayor, we can't say exactly what the estimated legal cost was, but my experience is that a full legal review of something like this could be anywhere between $20,000 and $50,000 depending on the legal, on how far it goes legally. But again, I would say I was probably estimating maybe a cost of upwards of 20 minimum, but could be unlimited depending on where I'm at.
Okay, so I mean, even if we cut that in the middle, 20 and 50, and say 35, then they went all the way down to 5,000 from that.
Yeah, through you to council as well. I just want everybody, council to be aware that I am currently in discussions with legal counsel on this matter, and we're limiting the cost significantly. Basically, I'm just making sure I hang up the phone really quickly when we're talking. But all kidding aside, we are getting a strong legal opinion in relationship to local improvement, and we will be bringing forward information in relationship to that to council in the coming weeks.
A further comment on the legal review. The letter from Sturgeon County did refer to a limited legal review. Limited obviously was defined as $5,000 from my understanding. But the legal review of the receivable was very important because it has a bearing on the financial statements as to what the financial statements are going to read as far as the financial position of the town. So my comments and suggestion is that a preliminary review that interim CAO is working with some legal counsel at a fairly low cost. The results will be looked at, and if the auditor can't rely on that, then I feel that the discussion should remain open as to how to proceed with the legal review with a partnership in financing with the county. I feel that door shouldn't be closed. It should remain because significant dollars, which the town really doesn't have, may be required.
Councilor Morrison?
Respectfully, Mr. Johnsrud, that amount has been limited to $5,000, so, you know, to use a little bit of a Cape Breton expression, spit in a hot stove. It's not a value for the relationship, and to turn our documentation over to a non-partner in county doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Respectfully.
I'd like to respond to that.
Yep, absolutely.
Maybe the $5,000 is negotiable.
Okay, thank you.
Is it 5,000, 10,000?
Okay, so we're looking for two motions. So the first one deal with the fire SCSS and moving forward with the cost sharing agreement, revenue sharing. Councilor Longstaff.
I'd like to make a motion, excuse me, that we pause discussions with Sturgeon County regarding transferring of the FCSS and the Gibbons Fire Department. And the cost and revenue sharing?
And we want to continue.
Yeah, and to continue with the cost and revenue sharing discussions. Explorations.
Any further questions? All those in favor? Carried unanimous. And the second motion we need is much the same as the first. Perhaps if to keep it open, we may look at suspending it at this time while we gather further information in regards to the study. What's that?
I said that. I think we should just move to cancel their offer altogether.
They might throw in some Boston Pizza coupons for us, you never know.
Okay,
Sorry, I have a question. If we do vote, could we bring it back later? Like, because we could cancel it and then bring it back later if needed, if that's an option. Is that possible?
If you're looking at rescinding a motion, then that's according to council's procedural bylaw. There's a 6-month time limit in there about whether or not something can be brought within 6 months. However, that does not stop you from making a motion to renegotiate discussions with Sturgeon County surrounding a legal review.
Mr. Hamel?
I think it's important to note that all avenues are always open for good faith bargaining on anything we choose to discuss with the county. And so I think it's important that in this messaging, you know, we're strong in our position, but we also make sure that they're aware that we're open to discussions at any time.
Okay, can I get a motion?
What I have as a suggestion, council, is that council direct administration to advise Sturgeon County that the suggestion of covering the cost of a legal review surrounding the Heartland Station be politely declined.
Who's going to make that motion?
I'll make that motion.
All those in favor? So carried unanimous. Okay, 10.2. is special council meeting date.
Okay, good evening, council. So you've just been through your budget, part of it, your flagged items, and of course in moving that process forward, administration is looking to seek to have a special meeting called for April the 23rd. That was in conjunction also discussing with the official administrator as a date that would be he would be available. We're also looking at bringing forward council's a draft of council's procedural bylaw. We would also be looking for a 6 o'clock start that night rather than 7. So if that meets with your schedule, the 23rd, next Thursday, 6 o'clock.
Chris, if I may, could I also bring up the notion of doing another open house? If council would like to discuss that, looking for a date, because I think it's time we get back in front of the public again as well.
That can certainly be put on the agenda. Remembering that anything that is going on the agenda, special meeting agenda, no additions to that agenda can be made unless all of council is present and agrees. So whatever the agenda is that's set tonight, that's the agenda going forward, unless on Thursday everybody agrees. And the reason for that being we need to be able to advertise that to our public as a special meeting.
Okay, thank you. So, any questions? Everybody's available that day? Okay, can I get a motion? I think we need to amend put an addition on the agenda.
Just in the motion, please, if we could just have it stated that it'll be for the 2026 operating and capital budget for the draft bylaw MOG 2-26 council procedural bylaw, and to set a date and time for a public town hall.
Okay. So who's ever making that motion? You got that, Councilor Lundstedt? You got that?
I move council call a special council meeting on April the 23rd, 2026 at 6 o'clock p.m. For the following items: the 2026 operating and capital budgets, draft bylaw MOG 2-26 regarding the council procedural bylaw, and a date and time for a public open house, and that this meeting be advertised to the public.
Any further questions? All those in favor? So carried, unanimous. Takes us to 11.1, bylaws and policies, bylaw alt 2-26.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. Back to fund finance topics. So this is one, again, that was quite interesting, and I want to provide a bit of background again on this one here. So it's not uncommon, actually very standard, to do borrowing bylaws. We do that on an annual basis, sometimes a monthly basis. What's uncommon in this situation, and thankfully with the province working with us through loans to local authorities, we explored the possibility of doing a refinance bylaw. So I actually had a call with Municipal Affairs this morning talking about said refinance bylaw and trying to see if one of these existed before so we could model it after that. To which I was informed, no, this does not exist. So we're breaking new ground here. So that being said, we built it out. Myself, with some input from Chris, thankfully, as well too, we built out our refinance bylaw at this point. So again, a very convoluted process in that what we're doing with this bylaw is not taking out new borrowing. It is taking our current existing borrowing and refinancing it to reduce the debt servicing requirements on the operating budget. So, The difficulty with this one as well was the current balance of each of the loans that's going to be refinanced is technically in flux in that interest is accruing on them and will revise the balance. So when we worded the bylaw, we had to word it in such a way that we could pass it for up to a certain amount. So I don't have an exact dollar amount of what that would be because we still have to go through the process of application, setting the final rates, and setting the final value of the debenture. So in this case, we listed the requirement for a new debenture to be issued, which would replace the existing debentures up to an amount of $7 million, just to be safe, because we don't know the exact dollar amount, but the amount of principal that currently exists that is going to be refunded, or going to be refinanced is just over $240,770. The new bylaw will, in essence, repeal and replace the 5 existing bylaws for the borrowing that's in place as of right now. So we would be, in essence, turning the 5 debentures into 1 debenture and removing the previous 5 borrowing bylaws and replacing it with the current borrowing bylaw that we would be putting in place. The one piece to this as well was that a refinance bylaw doesn't need to be advertised if it doesn't exceed the amount or introduce new principal, in essence, or the term or the longest term of the refinance debenture. Now in this case, that doesn't apply because we're stretching out past the largest or the longest term debenture that existed. So on that note, and I think it was a good, I think regardless of that, we would have advertised this bylaw anyways, because I think this is an important one to have an advertising on, to speak to, and that's why I wanted to provide a heavy background on this. So, I think that's most of it. I'm trying to think if there's anything I missed with this. The only piece of it that I haven't talked about is, as discussed in the budget meetings, there was a debenture that matures and is fully paid in December of 2026. So that is not being replaced by this bylaw. That is going to be settled as part of the 2026 operating budget. So this relates to the other 5 existing debentures that are not maturing until after 2026.
Okay, thank you. Just one correction on the back, you have March 14th as the date for first signing. Any questions, number 3?
Thanks, Ryan. 2 questions. Just the rate that's stated in here as not to exceed 4.5, that's because that's what's in the MGA is the max rate, or that's just your max rate at this point in time, sorry?
So they gave us 3 options when I presented last. The longer the term, the higher the interest rate. So I just put it to not exceed what the highest one was at the time, plus a little bit extra, again, just to be safe. But the actual debenture rate would be agreed to at the time of the application and completion. But it will not exceed the 4.5%.
And this is receiving all of, may not have been the proper word, but this is all 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 previous borrowing bylaws, all rolling everything together, basically consolidation loan into 1.
Correct.
And we're looking at just under, sorry, I saw it somewhere, 6.2. 6.2 in capital, and the And we've still got another, about the same 6.5 in operating.
Correct. I believe the number that's referenced at the time of April 14th, 2026 is just under 12.8 million of existing debt that is on the municipality currently, and that includes both operating and capital debt.
Which, as a point of note, since this council and Bloom came into position, is a debt reduction of almost $600,000. Just saying, to a friend.
Thanks for that. Councillor St. Germain?
We had passed, I thought, a borrowing bylaw just recently. Is that, am I wrong?
Councillor St. Germain, you're not actually. We just did a short-term borrowing bylaw for the lines of credit.
You have to do them
I'll do
manually.
2 to 1.
That one we have to do annually.
Okay, so that doesn't include this, that's as well as.
Yeah, the operating loans are not included in this refinance. This is purely the loans to local authorities debentures that mature after 2026. So there's 5 debentures that exist currently.
Okay, so that just is actually saying, so that's this, the 6 and then the 7 makes the full amount?
So the 6.2 million that we're going to look to refinance, or 6.24 million, is the total principal of those 5 debentures that we're refinancing. The difference is a variety of different loans. There's the two operating loans or lines of credit, which are $1 million and 2.8 million each. There's a fire truck. It's actually a loan technically, it's not a debenture as it's through the bank. That's around 566,000 if I remember right. And then our favorite arena mortgage, which I believe is around 2 or 2.1 million.
But just for clarity, that brings the total debt for the town to 12.8 million, of which 7 million is of the capital debentures, and the rest is in essence operating loans altogether. So the fire truck, the arena, so on and so forth, for a grand total debt of 12.8 million.
Correct, and this number is subject to change based on the current accrued interest that gets refinanced, so there might be some difference in there from when we sign the new debenture, but it would be a fairly immaterial difference at that point.
Excellent, thank you. Any further questions? Dr. Longstaff, do you have a question?
Yeah, it's kind of related, but not. Just want to clarify, first reading is basically that we've received the information. The second reading is we've read and understood, and then the third would be the final passing, correct?
Pretty much, but I think administration is only looking for first reading this evening so that we can do some advertising. So it's literally to put the bylaw on the floor, so that now that gives Ryan permission to begin advertising for the bylaw.
Thank you.
So can I get a Mr. Hamel?
Through Mr. Mayor, and just keeping in company with council's want to make sure that we're transparent. The reason why we're doing all this debenture refinancing, just to make sure it's clear to the public and the people who are listening tonight, is this provides us with a runway. It removes the principal cost from our budgets for the next 3 years, which provides us with significant opportunity to develop a long-term financial plan that will allow us to get back on track. And so the reason why we're going through all of this is basically, again, working with the province to provide us with a runway to fix our problem.
Excellent, thank you. Any further questions? So can I get a motion, please? Councillor Longstaff.
I move council complete the first reading of bylaw 2-26 and to direct administration to proceed with the public notice.
All those in favor? So carried unanimous.
So can I just get that second one to direct administration, please, as a second motion? Because it needs to be separate from the actual reading of the bylaw.
Do you want me to change my motion then?
We're just gonna put through a second motion to direct administration to advertise the bylaw.
I'll make a motion to direct administration to make the necessary changes to the bylaw.
All those in favor? So carried. Alrighty. Seeing no staffing reports. Committee reports. Are you ready, Councillor Curry?
I knew you were gonna start with me. Yeah, today I was at both schools. I started at Landing Trail School. They had Jersey Day. Both schools had Jersey Day. I was there at Landing Trail School upon invitation, wearing a Broncos jersey, and I brought our trophy, our championship trophy. And I didn't know what to expect, but I got there and they said, okay, they're waiting for you in the gym. What? So I opened the gym and it was full of kids and teachers, and they had a table right up front for me to put the trophy. And I got up there and they passed me a mic and I thought, holy crap, here I am. But I was fielding questions and getting comments, and I got some personal gifts with kids just giving me notes that I opened it and I said thank you and you're the best and things like that, which I agree with. And then yeah, I just did some talking and kids got their pictures with the trophy, and then I handed it over to give it. Oh, I signed probably about 100 autographs. I'm not kidding you. I was signing shoes, jerseys, t-shirts, hats, toques, arms, foreheads. So to all the LT parents, I apologize. Sharpie should come off in a few days on skin. And then I took the trophy over to Gibbons School for a quick visit and got some pictures there, and surrounded by about 40, 50 kids for a picture there as well. And I think they all really enjoyed it. Probably not as much as I did. It was pretty awesome. So that's my report.
Councillor Brack.
March 31st, library board meeting presented by Mr. Ken Allen. Was supposed to be Kevin Miller, but he had passed duties on to Ken Allen. That was regarding the municipal viability review. April 7th was a library board meeting. April 8th was a meeting with Sturgeon Public Schools. April 10th was the Redwater Mayor's Breakfast. And April 14th was the AB Muni draft analysis of Bill 28.
Councillor Smarowitz.
March the 28th, attended the strategic planning workshop with the council members. On the 30th of March, the Water Commission met. Our primary focus at this point seems to be a legal battle with one of the members who's not wanting to pay their bill, but I think it's under control. April 8th, I met with councillors here with the Sturgeon School Board in regards to our pending school, hopefully. On the 9th of April, Roseridge landfill stakeholders met, so that's all the towns and the county, and then there was a Roseridge board meeting thereafter. So we're just trying to set some parameters. I think what's coming down the pipe is, what am I trying to say here, is the landfill with, if you're putting in food products and those kinds of things that decompose, it generates too much methane gas. So we are going to be probably implementing a organic waste collection in town at some point. I did talk to administration about getting Roseridge staff to come and do a presentation to council, and of course our citizens in regards to their plans. So that's coming down the line. The 10th of April, Redwater Mayor's Breakfast. The 14th, today I attended the Alberta Munis Bill 28 webinar kind of thing, and then the Municipal Planning Commission met at 6 o'clock prior to this meeting on some pending homes being built. And that's it, thank you.
Councillor St. Germain, you look ready.
I'm getting used to this now. April 8th, Sturgeon School Division meeting. April 9th, we had the budget for the Homeland Housing Board meeting. April 14th, today we did the Munis Bill 28 draft review, and then a second meeting with people from Munis with another councillor.
Thank you. Councillor Longstaff.
28th of March took part of the strategic planning session. The 7th of April, I was at the Gibbons Fire Department committee meeting. There was a couple more members there that were given awards as they weren't at the previous meeting. 8th of April, I met with some of the council, the Sturgeon Public School Board, and today I took part with the AD Munis webinar regarding Bill 28 and the Municipal Planning Commission this evening. Oh, and I do have one question for Travis. It sounds like you had a pretty busy time. You said you went to both schools?
Both schools.
Did you graduate?
I'm working on it. Give me time. Still a youth.
Councillor Morrissey.
Intertown youth.
27th of March, the Edmonton Salutes annual budget meeting. The 28th of March, the strat plan session with rest of council in Bloom. The 8th of April with Sturgeon Public Schools for the given school location and ratification of the existing MOU. The 10th of April, the Redwater Mayor's Breakfast. The 14th of April, AB Munis Bill 28 webinar review. And the 14th of April, the Municipal Planning Commission and an interview with Global News with regard to the given situation.
Okay, thank you. Just a short one for me, strat plan meeting on the 28th of March. April the 11th, I was invited by Cougar Boxing Association to attend their tournament they put on for a war presentation. Munis Bill 28 and the interview with Cole this evening. I need a motion to accept this information. Councillor Longstaff.
I move we accept the committee reports as information.
All those in favor? So carried. Correspondence. We received a letter from Municipal Affairs, the Fire Services Training Program. The Minister is pleased to inform that the Town of Gibbons has been approved for a grant of $5,904 to carry out training as outlined in the forthcoming traditional grant agreement. So it was good news to hear for our fire department. They got some additional funding for some training. And that is it.
Can we get a motion to accept that correspondence, please, Your Honor?
You betcha. Councilor Morrison.
I move we accept the correspondence as information.
All those in favor? So carried. And a call a recess at 20:58 hours for 5 minutes. 5 minutes.
So who should make choices here?
And then we're going in.
Sorry.
Call the meeting back to order. And if I could get a motion to proceed into closed session for staffing under the sections as listed, please.
Under personnel, Your Honor,
Personnel.
not necessarily staffing.
Personnel,
I move that we go into closed session under
section 20, 28, 29.
sections 20, 28, and 29.
All those in favor? So carried. Closed session.
Okay.
Can I get a motion, please? Council Morrison?
I move that we proceed as discussed.
That you direct administration to proceed as discussed?
Sure. I direct administration to proceed as discussed. I literally just drew a.
All those in favor? So carried.
That's why I let you do the vote.
Do you declare, yes?
21